You know, your kidneys are some of the hardest working organs in your body, but they usually work in complete silence. So today, we're going to talk about what happens when that silence is actually masking a really serious problem: chronic kidney disease. This is a condition that's way more common and way more hidden than you might think. Let's find out why.
So get this, 1 in 7. That's how many adults in the United States are estimated to have chronic kidney condition. I mean, to put that into perspective, we're talking about 37 million people. That is a huge number of people. And yet, for most of us, it just completely flies under the radar.
And this is the part that really gets me. According to places like the National Kidney Foundation, only about 10% of people with chronic kidney disease actually know they have it. Think about that. For every 10 people with this disease, 9 are walking around completely in the dark. So, this all leads to the big question, right? How on earth is that possible? How can a disease that affects millions and can lead to kidney failure stay so hidden for so long? Well, we're about to dive into the physiological mystery behind this silent progression. Okay, so before we get into what goes wrong, we really have to appreciate what our kidneys do right. I mean, they're not just filters, they're like these master chemists inside our bodies, working tirelessly behind the scenes.
So what's on their job description? Well, for starters, they clean all the waste out of your blood, they manage your body's fluid levels, and they release hormones that regulate blood pressure. They even help produce red blood cells and activate vitamin D to keep your bones strong. It is an absolutely incredible balancing act that they pull off every single day.
And the amount of work they do, it's just staggering. Every single day, your 2 kidneys filter about 200 quarts of blood. Just try to picture that. That's like processing 50 of those big gallon jugs of milk, but with your blood, every 24 hours. And all of that work is just to filter out a couple of quarts of waste and extra water.
So where does all this magic happen? It's inside these tiny, microscopic things called nephrons. We're born with about 1 million of them in each kidney, and you can think of each one like its own little filtering station, constantly working to separate the good stuff your body needs from the junk it needs to get rid of.
Okay, so if these filters are so powerful, what makes them fail? Well, it's rarely something that happens overnight. It's usually a slow, gradual thing, often driven by other health issues. And when you look at the causes, 2 major culprits stand way out from the rest. Diabetes is the big one. It's the #1 cause. All that high blood sugar just ravages the tiny blood vessels in the kidneys. And right behind it, high blood pressure. It puts this constant strain on those same vessels, weakening them over time.
But you know, the list doesn't stop there. Things like heart disease, obesity, and smoking also do a lot of damage to blood vessels. And of course, having a family history of it is a big red flag, and just getting older naturally means our kidney function starts to decline a bit.
All right, so we know what causes the damage. But this next part, this is the absolute key to understanding why this disease is so silent. It's this incredible, but ultimately really destructive survival trick our kidneys pull off.
It's a concept called hyperfiltration. Basically, as some of those little filters, the nephrons, get damaged and stop working, the healthy ones that are left just kick into overdrive. They work harder and harder to pick up the slack. And this is why your overall kidney function can look totally normal on a test, even while you're silently losing more and more of those filters. This analogy really helps make sense of it. Imagine you've got a team of 10 workers. If 2 of them call in sick, what happens? The other 8 just have to work a little harder to get the job done, right? From the outside, it looks like everything's fine. The same amount of work is getting done. But those 8 workers, they are under a ton of strain, and eventually they're going to burn out too. That's exactly what's happening inside the kidneys.
And this table of the 5 stages of CKD really brings it all home. Just look at that symptoms column. In the first 2 stages, where you can lose up to 40% of your kidney function, what are the symptoms? None. 0. You often don't start feeling anything, maybe a little tired, until you hit stage 3. And by that point, the damage is already serious and unfortunately irreversible.
So, what's the takeaway here? We absolutely cannot wait for symptoms to show up. But the good news is, we don't have to. The kidneys are talking to us. They are sending out early warning signals. We just have to know how to listen, not with our ears, but with a couple of simple lab tests. So even though they're quiet, your kidneys are communicating. They're leaving clues about how they're doing in your blood and your urine, and we can find those clues long before you ever feel sick. And it really comes down to these 2 key tests. Together, they give us the whole picture of your kidney health. One is a blood test, the eGFR, and the other is a urine test, the UACR. Okay,
So the eGFR, think of it as your kidney function score. It's calculated from a really common blood test that measures a waste product called creatinine. Healthy kidneys get that stuff out of your blood, no problem. If that number is consistently below 60, that's a sign for your doctor that the filters just aren't working as well as they should be.
Now the UACR. I want you to think of this one as an early warning leak detector. See, healthy kidney filters are really good at keeping big things, like a protein called albumin, in your blood where it belongs. But when those filters get damaged, they start to get leaky, and that protein escapes into your urine. And finding that protein leak is one of the earliest signs of kidney damage, sometimes years before your eGFR score even starts to drop.
Okay, so now we know the risks, we know why it's so silent, and we know about the tests that can catch it early. This moves us from just being aware to being able to take action. You really do have the power to protect these vital organs. And you know what? The steps to protect them aren't super complicated. Since we know diabetes and high blood pressure are the main villains here, managing them is job number one. Beyond that, it's about a healthy lifestyle, a balanced, low-salt diet, regular exercise, and not smoking. Oh, and it's also a good idea to be careful with over-the-counter NSAID pain relievers, like ibuprofen. Heavy, long-term use isn't great for your kidneys.
But maybe the single most important thing you can do is to be an active partner with your doctor. Don't just wait for them to bring it up. You got to be proactive and start asking the right questions.
So, at your next checkup, think about asking these things. Ask them straight up. Based on my health, am I at risk for kidney disease? Ask them if you should get tested. And this is a big one. Don't just ask if your results are normal. Ask for your actual numbers, your eGFR and your UACR, so you can keep an eye on them yourself over time.
So, in the end, it really all comes down to this. Your kidneys are in there, working for you every single minute of every day, doing these incredibly complex, life-sustaining jobs, and they never ask for any attention. They work in silence. So the only question left is, now that you know all this, isn't it time you started listening back?
Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're investigating a silent threat, one that could be inside our own bodies. So let's talk about your kidneys. They're basically your body's unsung heroes. You've got two bean-shaped organs about the size of your fist, and they're working 24/7. Think about this. Every single day, they filter around 150 quarts of your blood. And they do so much, from balancing minerals to even helping control your blood pressure. But here's the thing. There's a huge hidden problem. It's called chronic kidney disease, or CKD. And it's shockingly common. We're talking about 1 in 7 adults in the US. That's huge. And get this, a staggering 90% of people who have it don't even know. Right, and that's why it's called a silent disease. Your kidneys are just that good at compensating. Now, our focus today is on CKD. That's the one that develops slowly over the long term. So what causes it? Well, the two biggest culprits by far are diabetes and high blood pressure. But there are other risk factors too, like age, family history, heart disease, and smoking. And sometimes it's in your genes. These APOL1 gene variants, for example, can really increase the risk. And this is the critical part. Symptoms usually don't show up until a lot of damage is done. Yeah, you can see here how it progresses. Real symptoms often don't kick in until the later stages. Signs like fatigue or swelling, that's your kidneys finally speaking up, but it's often late. So how do you catch it early? Well, thankfully, it just takes 2 pretty simple tests. First step, talk to your doctor about your risk factors. Then you just ask for 2 tests. The first is a blood test, the eGFR. It basically checks how well your kidneys are filtering. And a second is a urine test called UACR. This one can spot damage even earlier. The bottom line is you can protect them. Catching it early is absolutely key here. It's about managing things like blood pressure, eating right, and just being smart about medications. So those silent filters work 24/7 for you. Isn't it time you listened back?